this will be it right now. We'll just talk. Go ahead and talk right now. We'll just do it.
We're pouring, man.
Yeah. What is the whiskey tonight that we're going to be drinking?
This
John?
is
the whiskey.
This is Templeton Rye.
Okay.
Don't know where it's from. Don't know who makes it. Don't know shit. But I like it, so I got a bottle today. It's only about $31.
That's a good. That's a good
it's very
price.
good. But this is only with whiskey, not about whiskey, right?
That's right.
This is the pilot episode of, and maybe it'll be aired. I don't know or not. We'll find out because Edith Keeler's Edge of Forever Bar and Grill.
Yeah, that is a nice working title that we came up with.
Belly up to the table there, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, belly up.
There we go. Cheers.
Cheers, dude. I don't know if that's going to be the title of the podcast.
No, I don't know either. I mean, maybe it'll grow on us.
We're still playing with it.
Yeah,
I think
we got a lot to play with.
But again, do you want to describe what this podcast actually is?
Yeah, John and I are really big fans of Star Trek.
We're fans, not experts.
That's right. That's just so we're clear.
Yeah.
We're not here to dole out facts and figures that we're experts on. We're not. We're just really big fans of the original series. And every time we get together, we inevitably end up talking about Star Trek. So we thought, man, this would be a great podcast. So we're going to give it a try. This is the pilot episode of our podcast about Star Trek, the original series.
That's right.
This particular one will be about the pilot episode that nobody saw back in 1960, whenever it was on.
I think it was 1967?
1967. That
you know what? We
about,
could actually, I have the technology here, as
look
most
it up.
people do. It's called, well, you know what? On IMDb it says 1988, and that's not when it came out, obviously. Why it says 1980s is because I think that's when they started remastering it and putting it back together, because this particular one, which aired in it never aired.
Never aired, that's right.
It never aired, and it was basically made in 1966, or 65 or 66, I'm not sure of the date.
Right.
The notes from NBC were a couple of big notes. Is it Nigel Barrett, the played number one? She's gone. She turns into Nurse Chapel.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then the big one was
Get rid of Spock.
No.
Yeah, they say get rid of Spock.
No, they said Spock is in this, and he's also.
Of course, because Roddenberry fought for him.
That's true.
Yeah, so they said get rid of Spock, get rid of the woman who's number one because she's annoying.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you know. Note and comment below, what was the deal with Jeffrey Hunter? You know,
that was the big one. Basically,
did they like him or not? I don't remember.
I don't think they liked him. He's a good actor. But I think he didn't work for the character. If you look at the way Kirk is today, or Kirk had been played, and the actual mood of the show is that I bet you one of the notes from the network was, man, can you a few jokes in there? Can you make it a little bit more lighter? And Shatner, I think, is probably better as a character guy and a little bit of funny. I don't know. I don't know how Hunter is in comedy, but he.
Well, comedy is not pretty, and
That's
it's
right.
actually hard to do.
That's
Shatner
right.
does pull it off, though. A lot of great episodes. Hunter. Speaking of which, he was brooding the entire episode because we watched the pilot and.
Yes.
And what's great about it is
the cage.
It's
called the cage.
That's right,
Sorry.
the cage. And they cleaned it up. They modernized it with modern technology, but by using CGI, and they restored some. I remember years ago when we were young, I remember seeing bits of the cage, like people trying to put it together with work print. And it was just awful scratchy, and you could see the edits in the 16 millimeter film. It was really horrible, but they really did a great job restoring this.
They took the original 35 millimeter negative and they transferred it to HD. It still was 5:4:3, which is the aspect ratio in that time, because TVs were square, and but still it's gorgeous with, like Chip said, with new CGI computer generated ships and effects, and it looks fantastic. And that was done, I think, in the early 2000s, but not in 1988.
No, not in
as
88.
IMDb says, because they didn't have HD back then, 88.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, remember? Do you remember there was a certain point when you'd watch Star Trek growing up, and it was the same. It was on UHF Channel 61 in Cleveland. It was fuzzy. It was an awful picture.
WKEF 22 in Dayton.
Yeah, but then one day you wake up as an adult and it's on, so you turn it on and you're like, what is this? How did they... That looks really incredible. It's all clean and crisp. I'm like, I didn't get an HD TV. I just had a standard depth TV, but all of a sudden,
it looked great.
It becomes new. And this is even before they fixed the special effects. You know, they fixed them, that's in air quotes, because they got rid of all the old special effects. Same with the Cage, they got rid of the special effects but they did a good job making it look retro, though, I think, in this episode.
I think a little bit, yeah. It still looks beautiful, though. The cinematography is great. Can't tell you who shot it. Because we're fans, not experts.
Right. Remember that before you start making comments.
We're going to make comments of, wait, don't you know who Bob Johnson is? Well, sorry. I don't know who Bob Johnson is, but I'm sure he's not the DP. Okay, so let's go over what the Cage is. So basically the Enterprise, we meet the intrepid voyagers of the USS, or not USS, I don't know what it is. What is it?
Yeah, they call it
NCAA time.
1701?
NCAA. No, the Enterprise. We'll just call it the Enterprise.
Let's call it the Enterprise. They do say something different that's not canon. They say call it like the United Starship. They don't say Federation. They don't. You know what I mean? I can't.
It's very strange.
I should have made that note.
We should actually be more. Next time we will be better prepared.
Yeah.
The Enterprise is flying through space, and they get a distress signal from an unknown planet because they're in an area that never explored before, a planet that hasn't been explored, and it's a distress signal from a missing ship that had ended up missing, for lack of two words in the same sentence. 18 years before. So they go to investigate, and they go down the planet, and they find, a group of scientists, right? Yeah,
a group of scientists and a female that was just born basically the day of the crash kind of thing. Yeah. So she's essentially 18 years old.
What was her name? Remember?
Mira or Miri?
Dude, we suck, guys.
Oh my God! Why didn't I write this down?
Why didn't we write this shit down? Her actual name is Susan Oliver.
Susan Oliver, the actress.
And Vina?
Vina or Venus? Vina?
V-I-N-A is
V-I-N-A. Vina. Yeah, it's Vina. It's got to be
So this is what's going to happen. We're going to be... Actually, we'll just keep IMDb up because we'll have many questions, I'm sure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the pilot episode, so we're going to stumble our way through this.
Yeah, so Majel...
And figure out
I said Majel... Did I say Majel Barrett?
You said something like that. It's actually Majel Barrett.
Majel Barrett. Yeah, I fucked that one up.
Yeah, I was going to correct you, but then I forgot.
That's okay.
You can catch each other.
We forget many things on this podcast.
Yeah, but we can catch each other when we get something wrong.
Okay, so...
Okay.
Pike and Spock and not number one. She's up at the.
Yep, Majel Barrett is on the
thing. Oh, but there's something we got to talk about before that, though.
What?
There's a scene up in the on the bridge, and a yeoman comes in, and Pike who's sexist in this, by the way. He's not very likable.
Yeah, he's like. I wouldn't say hardcore, but by today's standards, when you look back, it's like, oh my gosh.
He's just like,
woman.
A woman. I just can't get used to a woman on the bridge.
And cut to the Strange New Worlds, he's surrounded by women.
Yeah.
I love that.
Number one.
The sign of the times.
Number one looks up and is like going, what about me? And he goes, oh, no. Not you.
Yeah, it's all cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that is so sexist,
it's like
man.
He doesn't see me as a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Is basically what she was looking at him for. Okay, so they go down the planet.
Yeah, and they establish a few things on the bridge. Like, it's right now they just get a distress call, but they're on their way to a mission. They've got to do this mission because they've been through something that caused some injury of some of the crew. Remember,
there was a mission where somebody got killed and there's injuries, and I think he's got some post-traumatic stress syndrome going on.
Yeah, that's it.
With the last one.
Right. Because he's talks to his doctor, who's also his bartender, and they drink
brandy of some
Some kind of clear brandy.
Who
It's
knows
not.
what it is? But he might have actually done it in the bathtub and
Yeah, in his cabin.
I don't know.
It's awful.
He looks like old enough to know how to do that. And that's another change that happened.
Yeah,
There's
the
no
doc is
McCoy.
different. No
The
McCoy.
doctor's it's the old guy who.
Yeah.
Dr. Philip Boyce.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know if Strange New Worlds is even going to introduce him because they went right to M'Benga, who is on a later episode of Star Trek when Bones is away.
No, I think they're going to.
He's doing residency or something.
They're just going to sweep him under the rug.
Yeah, that's crazy. But he actually is a good actor, the Doctor. I actually liked his character. And he was really good. And, you know, they have to deliver this dialogue about just at the time in 1966 or whenever, it had to be really foreign to these actors, you know, like talking about this stuff because we barely were on the moon for a couple of years, you know?
Actually, back then we weren't on the moon for another 3 years.
Was it 64 we landed on the moon?
No, it was 69.
It's 69, that's right. Yeah, we weren't even on the moon.
July of 69.
So we'll cut that part out and go right to, we were just on the moon in 1969.
I'm a space nerd. Okay, so they go down.
That's right.
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
So if they get another distress thing, say, hey, there's survivors, then he decides, well, okay, let's go. We'll have to go. So they go down, and you can tell the show Bible isn't set in stone yet because they're using words and phrases that they haven't developed yet. They're calling things lasers.
Yeah.
They've got time warp factor is the speed.
That's right, time warp factor 5.
Yes, and time warp factor 7. Remember when they first go to warp? Time warp factor 7, and then they're standing there, and all of a sudden you see stars going by.
And then the navigator is going like this,
7, like this with his hands. He's like 7. We did it. We got
it's so weird. He does hand signals of how fast they're going.
You can almost see that coming from like Roddenberry's real life history of being on a bomber in World War II, where they had to communicate using hand signals. You know?
Well, on set they were just going, "What do we do here? I don't know. Just count to 7."
Yeah, there you go.
I think there are a lot of things they kind of just said, "It's just a pilot."
Yeah. So they go to warp factor 7, and they go in orbit over Talos IV.
Hey, we got that one right.
Yeah.
Cheers, my friend.
Thank you. Hey, every time we get something right, we'll do a drink. Yeah, so they go to Talos IV, beam down. There's a bunch of old people who are old scientists.
First time on set, Chip? Come on.
And
turn off your phone.
Okay, no, it's just I'm getting dinged. Hey, we heard you're doing a podcast. Congratulations, good luck.
No, that doesn't say that.
Doesn't say that, just kidding. So then they go down, a bunch of old people, the young 18-year-old.
All the scientists except for one 18-year-old girl.
Yes, all male scientists,
what the
old
hell's
guys.
happening there? I don't know.
Right, exactly. Oh, and, did you want to talk about Spock?
Oh, I forgot about Spock is like completely... And did you come up with this? Or you came up with this theory, but Spock is very emotional. He does things like... tractor beam intensity, whatever.
He's like,
He like screams, he smiles at flowers. It's very strange.
Yeah. And then when he's beaming down, they're beaming down to try to figure out a way to rescue Pike.
That's right.
The women only beam down, and then he screams really loud, "The women!"
I know.
The women.
Did you say that it kind of is in line with the Spock that's in this in
Strange New Worlds?
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I did. I told you that because
they're still messing around with it.
Yeah, because it's like Strange New Worlds is visiting that aspect because he's very emotional and trying to like the Spock of Strange New Worlds is kind of like dealing with his human emotions more so than he ever did on the original series, really.
Yeah.
But because this is all happening before Kirk gets to be the captain, so I think that's a good way to look at it because Ethan Peck, the actor who plays the new Spock, has really...
Gregory Peck's grandson.
Is that right?
Yes.
I did not know that.
He's related to Gregory Peck.
Oh, no wonder. I think he's doing a really great job finding a new way to introduce us to this character who's been flushed out thoroughly and successfully by Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Leonard Nimoy, how do you do that? And I think he's really doing a really great job. Well, here's what could have happened, you know? Because Spock's Nimoy, is nothing compares to it. How can you fill those shoes, You
can't.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of they're kind of reverting back to the original Spock the way because if you look at the timeline,
I think that Strange New Worlds takes place just after the Cage because Discovery, when they introduced at the end of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, and Pike comes up. They have that whole. You know what? I didn't really watch Discovery that much,
I didn't watch it either.
but there was a time they revisit Talos IV, and that girl Vina is on Talos IV in Discovery, so they've already been there.
Oh, okay.
They've already been. So it's just after that that Strange New Worlds takes place because he knows his fate.
Okay.
And Ethan Peck Spock knows that he has to. When he gets into that accident, he knows that he has to go back to Talos IV.
Okay.
So because in Star Trek: The Original Series, they revisit the pilot episode in a 2-part episode, saying this is what happened before.
Right.
Remember, so it is a past thing that happened.
Yeah.
So we are in between. The Cage Strange New World is right in between The Cage and the original series with Kirk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the episode.
Yes. Go ahead. Shit. Where were we? Go ahead.
Where
we get down to the planet. There's an 18-year-old girl, very attractive.
We meet her, right?
Yes.
She says, "I want to go show you something," right? So of course she started leading him by his dick, and they go up this little hill toward a door.
He's like, what?
And then all of a sudden these beings who are indigenous to this planet.
Yes, with big heads.
Yeah, I called them the butt heads when I was a kid because their heads look like asses.
From when they turn around and walk away, they do look like butts. You're right.
And they basically take him hostage, and they take him below ground,
and all the old people disappear. It was an illusion.
An illusion.
Yes, it was all an illusion.
Yeah, so that happens. He wakes up down there, right?
Yeah, he wakes up down there. They shoot the elevator with lasers.
Right. They try to. Yeah. They bring this gigantic laser gun.
Huge. Yeah.
Down onto the surface. And Chip, you made a good point about why don't they just what would you say?
To just shoot them from space.
Yeah, like they do
with
everybody
ship's
else.
phasers. Yeah. Just
they
nail it. Don't bring down this huge laser.
Yeah, they know how to shoot the gun.
It looks like a prop
lasers.
left over from
The
Forbidden
phasers,
Planet
guys.
or something.
Phasers.
Yeah.
But they call them lasers in the Cage.
Yeah, they call them lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they try to do that. Meanwhile, he's down there, and they start going through these fantasy routines, little imaginary fantasy things, based on memories and a conversation that he had with the doctor
In his
while they were
quarters.
drinking.
Yeah, while they were drinking. He's like, I wish I could be back on the farm in Utah or wherever.
Yeah, so it's like
was it like the desert or something? Remember, it was like a.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't. It
was it Mojave?
Yeah, it was Mojave Desert because the city was called Mojave. Out in the background, which in the shots, because it was so clear in HD, you can see the cities back there. And when we were kids watching on TV during the menagerie, which where the footage showed up.
Yep. Thank you.
You could barely see back there because the resolution sucks so bad. So, but it's really nice to kind of see. And actually, one of the buildings looks like the old terminal from LAX.
Yeah,
the control tower from LAX.
From LAX, yeah. That was turned into a restaurant, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. Yeah, so there you go. What else?
Yeah, then so he keeps resisting is the point. Like he keeps resisting. They can't figure out why they're offering him all this. They have this hot 18-year-old chick that back then is apparently appropriate for him to have a relationship with her. I guess I don't know.
There's different times.
Different times. So now the aliens are like, you have not responded to Vina or whatever her name is. Perhaps you would like these women. And she starts telling him about that yeoman who's like, she feels she has a chance.
Is that when he realizes that they want to basically have him have sex with her and procreate the species so they can grow their menagerie?
Right. They're figuring out, oh yeah, because I didn't put it together, but right when he's in the cage, you get to see a couple other aliens that are in cages as well. Right. And I never really made the connection as a kid watching that episode in the two-parter.
I think we saw some of those monsters in some early 60s beach party bingo monster.
Right, one was like an
movies
ape
from Paramount.
costume, you know.
or from Desilu or something. I think Desilu was the actual producers, but they did shoot in California. Did they shoot on the Paramount lot?
Yes, they did.
So
yes,
hence the connection with Paramount.
Yes, they did. Comment below.
Comment below if we're wrong, because like I said, we are fans, not experts.
Fans, not experts.
Okay, so they have all the women. I'm sure we've skipped over some details.
Yeah, but watch the episode and give us your your feelings. Thank you. Good night, everybody. No. So so they think they're phasers. The women think their phasers are dead.
Yeah.
But everything could be an illusion, so you got to be careful. So he's going to test it out on. They're kind of like falling asleep in the cage, and the alien tries to come in and grab the phasers, but he pulls her in and he takes it to her head and goes, "You want me to test this theory?" I think that
he says her because all of the aliens are female.
Yeah,
but they don't tell anybody. The producers don't. They let you think that it's just androgynous.
Yeah.
Androgynous.
And another thing is that about their heads, when they talk they talked using telepathy to Jeffrey Hunter for the first part of the episode, and their heads were throbbing.
Doesn't understand.
Yeah, and their heads are throbbing with these bladders.
And female.
Even in high def, it actually is a really good effect.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
I mean, for a pilot episode of a show, I thought it was really well done, except for the warp speed thing.
Yeah, time warp factor 7.
Yeah, that whole sequence was lame as hell.
Yeah, they didn't have a grasp of what the show Bible should. They didn't have it locked in place.
Maybe they ran out of money for the effects. They were some of the ship. Who knows? Yeah,
and in later episodes where McCoy runs a scanner and heals a wound, but in this episode, people are wearing the dude at the helmsman is wearing a bandage. There's another dude that John you pointed out had a patch on his neck.
I know.
It's like, boy, they went through some rough space, but what?
Yeah,
what
ridiculous.
the heck?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, just go see what? The doctor's not a real doctor? It's like, I faked my entrance exam. I'm old. Get me off this ship. McCoy comes on with a scanner. There you go. You're better. And another thing on the bridge, there's a doorman on the bridge.
I know, so weird. There's some looks like some 18-year-old kid who's probably some producer's nephew. He just stands there.
Yeah, and when the door opens, he goes to attention.
Yeah,
and then he looks around like, what am I supposed to do next? you don't even notice that when you're watching it on a snowy black and white TV.
Dude.
But man, in HD,
he
pops right out.
He's right there.
Yeah, and then I bet Roddenberry's looking at Daly's going, okay, you know what? Next time, let's just get rid of that doorman whole concept.
Yeah,
that was stupid. Yeah.
I mean, because it wasn't a red shirt, so you couldn't say that he was security.
Right.
So it was just like
they didn't even have red shirts yet.
No, they didn't. They didn't have the whole the shirt color kind of
the color coding. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have that going.
They didn't have that.
So the guy comes in, or the alien comes through the door to try to grab the phasers. He grabs the alien and takes the alien, the indigenous person from that planet. So you can't call them aliens.
Right.
Not on that planet. Actually, the Earthlings would be the aliens.
That's right.
He took the weapon and put it right at its head and says, I think that this is all fake. Do you want me to test it on your head?
Yeah. He's really aggressive, man.
He's very aggressive about it. And they give up. And so they release them from the trick. What is it?
The cage.
The cage. And then all of a sudden you see the hole in the...
That he had actually blown a hole in the side of the leucinite wall,
Which we neglected to talk about because, we're fans, not experts.
Not experts, exactly. And we haven't talked about the Orion Green Woman yet.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget that one of the fantasy sequences that they're trying to get him to want to actually bang her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
John, and they get this sexy Orion woman in green to dance exotically, and then it cuts to the women are waking him up out of his fantasy, and she's all pissed because she didn't get to,
I'm not finished.
Yeah, she's screaming.
It brings up, because he talks about going on that planet and seeing these dancers in the conversation with
another
the doctor,
thing that came from the conversation.
which is, kind of like, okay, we get it. You guys are laying down some trails. So it brings up this segment called Did They Bang?
That's a segment of the show. Did they bang?
Did they bang?
Did they bang?
In real life, when he was down there checking out green ladies, did he bang the green lady? Do you think he banged a green lady?
I think this captain, I think, did. I don't think.
I think Kirk probably would do it.
Wait a
too.
minute. I just stopped myself because Kirk banged everything.
Dude, that guy, if it moved, had a pulse.
Yeah, I think he banged them. Yes, I think they banged each other. Now the point is, was in the fantasy, was he about to bang her?
I don't know. He just kind of got up and left because he was pissed that he knew it was a fantasy thing in his brain.
Yeah. But he was tempted though, even though those guys are egging him on.
Yeah.
Those weird executive-looking guys. They're like.
Yeah, they're like showing him out at night on the town. Probably a bunch of rug salesmen or something.
Right, exactly. That's what I felt too. It had that really schmarmy.
Yeah.
Those two characters had this really schmarmy look to them, you know.
So the question is, did they bang?
Did they bang?
Yes or no?
I mean, in
real
the
life.
Fantasy or in the real life?
In the real life.
Oh yes, definitely.
I think they banged too.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the segment. Don't want to spend too much time on that.
No. We don't.
Don't want to spend too much time because it might get kind of weird.
In the fantasy, they did, and he was exhausted, but she was upset because she didn't get to finish. No, I'm just kidding.
Did they bang? Did they bang?
Did they bang?
Okay, now back to it.
Now they get out and they take the elevator up. It turns out the whole the top of the mountain has been completely blown away.
Yeah, because they were controlling their minds and visual what they're seeing.
So that super gun really did work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and number one gets the idea, like, because they're telling them, well, look, you're going to just stay here and procreate because we need you to do that.
Yeah.
And the reason was something about if they're happy, then they live vicariously through them or something, right? Do you know? Is there like some sort of plot point about why they're keeping all these?
And we apologize because I only saw it once when it first was remastered, and then one more time late last week when Chip came over and we watched it.
Yeah, but we've been drinking though.
Yeah, so. We've been drinking, so I don't remember that detail.
Right, but anyway, number one puts the laser gun on overload, and they're freaking out.
Yeah,
what? Oh my God! You'd rather die than be caged? Oh, you guys are much too primitive to keep in our
we
zoo.
We underestimated you.
Yeah, yeah, that was it.
And so they let them go. So they let them go, and everything's fine because there's some weird species that they're going to forgive. But they ask Vina
to come with them
if she wants to come, and then she says, "I can't come with you." And they're like, well, "Why the fuck can't you come with us? We got this big ship. There's all kinds of food, and there's people that you could probably bang."
Yeah.
And she was like, "I can't come because," and then all of a sudden she transforms into who she really is.
Yes. Which is this
like a 60-year-old woman.
Yeah, 60-year-old woman with a big hump on her back and she's all deformed and.
Yeah, she explains to him that they didn't really have a roadmap of how to put her together because they found her in the wreckage, but there wasn't.
But she wasn't a baby though in the wreckage. They made it a point. Number one says, "Oh, there is a Vina on the crew manifest."
But
she was 20 back then, and it was been 18, so she's like 48 or whatever right now.
So I got one question. Okay, they didn't have a roadmap, but there wasn't one non-survivor who had just blunt force injury on their head. And everything else was together. They could have gone.
They could use as a template.
Come on, man. That's lazy writing.
Exactly.
I guess they had to make her all humpy and weird and have to be able
so that, ew, don't go on our ship now because you're not 18 anymore and hot.
No, because she didn't
keep you away.
She would rather stay on the planet and
live a happy life with beauty and youth.
Yeah, in the fantasy. I'm sure they could take her anywhere and let her.
Yeah, and so they give her a fantasy version of Pike, and they walk off into the sunset together and go down the elevator together, and Pike's watching them, says, all right, that's great, I'm glad she's going to be happy, and then they go away and never to come back to Talos IV.
See, if I was Pike and all of a sudden he appeared and they started going up there, I would have looked at Spock and went, awkward. Because our look to number one, awkward.
Yeah.
Sorry, number one, she didn't pick you.
That's right, man.
You pissed her off when she knocked me out of my fantasy about the green lady. She's holding out against you, number one. She's not going to take you, it's me. Yeah. All me. Captain Pike.
That's hilarious.
Because you're a woman.
Awkward. Oh, man.
So that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
And they go off into space.
Yep. And then we don't see that episode until much later on in the original series when they needed to save money and make a 2-part episode out of it.
Right. Which was actually really well done.
Yeah, it was. They used that last shot as Pike himself is actually going and living and going to be happy now, not being in a wheelchair all messed up from that explosion or whatever.
And that episode was the menagerie.
That's right, yes. I keep forgetting that name.
When Spock was on trial for taking, one of the biggest rules, don't go to Talos IV.
Right.
It's the only thing left on the books that has the death penalty.
That's right, that's right.
See, we're not experts, but we are fans.
Yes, exactly.
I do know that one.
Yes. It was great.
Ting. I think maybe we'll have a ticker at the bottom. Basically, every time we say something that's inaccurate, we just bring it up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
inaccurate.
that's a good idea. Yeah,
that's a lot of work, though.
That is a lot of work. Do you have time for that? I don't think you do.
I don't really have time for that. I think we're just going to release it like this and just us talking, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
And we'll get better at some of the details.
Yeah,
we'll
of course.
We'll do some more homework. We'll do more homework. Actually, there'll be shows that we'll know more about because we've actually watched them
tons of
20 times
yeah.
because we were kids and stuff. And
yeah.
Like I said, this one, The Cage, only seen maybe twice.
Right.
And then a couple of times with the menagerie, but it's not full episodes, so it's cut around. It cuts around a few things. But actually, they did a pretty good job of pretty much showing almost everything from the original episode, the original pilot in the menagerie. Not a whole lot missing from the menagerie.
When they go to Warp Vector 7, then they kind of goes to this screen, or when they step out of the cage that has the hole blown in it, it cuts to it's on a monitor, and then they kind of back up, and you see them watching it. That's right. So it's and in real life, that's probably where they went to a commercial or something,
Probably.
So
So is this it? I mean, because we're probably. We want to try to bring this down to...
I wasn't timing it.
So I think we're at right around a half hour because I think we went about 10 minutes before.
Okay.
So let's talk about the next episode. The next episode will be Man Trap, The Man Trap, which is actually... They did do another pilot. And I think it was Where No Man Had Gone Before, right?
Yes, Where No Man Had Gone Before, yes.
And so, but that pilot actually in the sequence of airing was the third episode, which is weird because the tailoring was different with all the outfits.
Yeah, the costumes are just like
just different.
The cage.
Yeah, a little bit.
They look like sweaters.
Yeah, because that was done, and then they ordered all the shows for season 1, and they ended up kicking off with The Man Trap.
Yeah. Do you know why they did that?
I don't know.
I don't know why. Anybody out there know why? You could
put it in the comments
below, please.
With all the rest of the corrections and calling us douchebags because they don't know anything about Star Trek. That's fine. We enjoy Star Trek. We're fans, not experts.
That's right.
For the 5th fucking time. It's okay. We're having fun.
This is fun. So what John and I'll do, we'll watch this episode, and the next one, The Man Trap. And then we'll sit and talk about it again, just like we're doing here, right?
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit that button and subscribe. Yeah. It'll give you a big push notification that we've uploaded something. We don't know where it's going to be. It may only be on YouTube. We don't know. Maybe someday it'll be on iTunes or wherever else you find your favorite podcast. But right now we're just kind of taking it easy and kind of seeing where it goes. This is the first time we've tried it, and I think it went okay, even though we didn't know shit. pretty bad. Pretty bad. And we do a podcast about Star Trek, and
I know,
you
right?
Can't remember
I mean, I
names.
took notes, but
it's written by Gene Roddenberry, by the way.
yeah, and I can't
remember
read my
that
writing. Yeah, and what was also about the writing, it's total Gene Roddenberry. There was very little humor in it though this time around. For the first foray.
I think that was probably a note from the network.
Like, can you lighten up a little?
Give me something fun about.
Yeah. I mean, did you laugh out loud at all? Not one time? I don't think I did.
Just when Spock went like, "Oh, intensity."
Yeah, there you go. Like ironic laughter.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. The women!
The women!
The women!
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys, and join us next time. Don't know when. Probably, we might drop every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And then
That sounds fair.
next time, the Man Trap.
See you then.